What's up everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna be putting together a 1.5 JC. So I'm gonna show you guys what you need to put together a 1.5 JC, and we're gonna start off with the block. This is a 2JZ GE. This is a non-turbo block, but I'm gonna be using, well, I already installed the GT pistons and rods. So I wanna make more power. I know the GE pistons and rods, they can only handle pretty much like 400, somewhere around. And I want to make more power, so I threw a set of GTE pistons and rods. They're used, but I pretty much rebuilt the whole bottom end, so it has new rings and new bearings. Let me show you guys the pistons and the rods. Let me show you the difference. So this is a GE piston and rod, and then this is the GTE. So pretty much this one's a lot thicker than this one, and then this one's forged, the piston, and then this one's it's just cast aluminum. So this one's it's supposed to handle a lot more power than this one. Let me go back to the block over here. So pretty much I'm gonna use everything from a 2JZ on the bottom. So I'm gonna go with the 2JZ water pump. This is a GTE. I'm gonna use the GTE oil pump like I mentioned before. And I'm gonna use the rear sump because this motor is gonna go into a Mark III Toyota Supra. So I need a rear sump so I can clear the cross members. So I'm gonna use the rear sump. I got the oil pan over here. I'm gonna use the 2JZ crank pulley. I'm gonna use the tensioner. See, it says 3.0 right here. This is for the water pump. This is a bracket for the power steering, and the alternator. So I'm gonna use everything from a 2J on the bottom end. This tube right here, I got it from Drift Motion. This one's especially for a 1.5 JC. I'm pretty sure you could also use the one from the 2J. It should work. I've never done it, so I don't know, but it should work because people were doing it back in the day, and they were using the ones from the 2J, I believe. Okay, so now on the head, I'm gonna be using a head from a 1JC BBTI. So this block is a BBTI as well, and I'm gonna be using a BBTI head. I like BBTI, that's why I wanna keep it BBTI. So I'm gonna be using a head from a 1JC BBTI. I'm gonna be using the valve covers. You gotta use the valve covers, and then the coil covers, I got it somewhere on the back. But pretty much I'm gonna use everything on the head. I'm gonna use everything from the head. I'm gonna be using the water neck. You have to use the water neck. You have to use the timing belt covers from a 1J, and I'm gonna go with an aftermarket pulley. This is for the exhaust. And then for the intake, since the car is gonna be painted candy red, I sprayed, well, I didn't spray it, my friend sprayed the pulley candy red, and also the coil cover. I'm gonna show you guys later on. So pretty much all you need to put it together, it's everything from a 2JZ, the bottom end, all the accessories from a 2J. And the timing belt you want to use is, this is a Gates, this is a racing timing belt. So the timing belt you want to use, it has to be from a 2J. Okay, now for the head gasket, I'm gonna be using a Tomei head gasket. This is for a 2JZ. This is for a 2JC GTE. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger. This is a 1.5 millimeter head gasket. So I had to resurface the head and then the block. So I'm gonna compensate it with a 1.5 millimeter head gasket. So this is pretty much everything you need to put it together. So I'm gonna start working on it. I already installed the rear main on the block. Let me show you. I installed the rear main before I put it on the engine stand because later on it becomes a hassle. So I already installed the rear main. So I'm gonna start with the oil pump. I'm gonna install the oil pump right now. I gotta put the seal on the oil pump, and then I'm gonna install it. I pretty much label all the bolts. That way when you assemble it, it's a lot faster. I also clean them the best I could. So like I said, I'm gonna start working on the motor. I'm gonna start with the oil pump, and then I'm gonna go with the rear sump. Once I finish installing the rear sump, then I'm gonna install the head and then the rest of the parts. So building 1Js and 2Js and 1.5 JZs, it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. These motors are the easiest motors that I've worked on. That's why I like to work on them, because they're easy and they make a lot of power. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start working on the motor. Okay, so this is the oil pump. like I said, I'm just gonna install the seal real quick. This is the seal that goes on the front. So I'm gonna install the seal, and then I'm gonna install the oil pump, and then I'll show you guys the progress on the rest of the stuff. Okay, so I put oil inside of the pump. You don't want to install it dry, and I also installed the seal. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it on the motor right now. Okay, so I'm ready to install the oil pump, and before I do, I'm gonna install the O-rings. So it has 2 O-rings, and then I'm gonna apply silicone, and I'm gonna be ready to bolt on the oil pump. Okay, so I already installed the oil pump. Now I'm gonna turn it upside down, and I'm gonna install the rear sump. It's one piece is sitting over here, and then I got the other piece back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that right now, and then I'm gonna continue with the head. Okay, so I put my O-ring. Now I'm gonna go ahead and install the rear sump, but before I'm gonna put silicone around it, and then I'm gonna bolt on the rear sump and the oil pan back there. Okay, now I'm gonna put the baffle plate, the pickup tube, and lastly I'm gonna put the oil pan. Okay, so that's gonna be it for the rear sump. Now I'm gonna turn it over, and I'm gonna start installing the head. Okay, so now I'm gonna install the head gasket. I got a Tomei, like I said before. I'm gonna go ahead and install it, but before I do, I'm gonna spray some copper. I like to use this stuff, so I'm gonna use it for this motor as well. Okay, so I already sprayed the head gasket. Now I'm gonna get the head ready. So I'm gonna remove the caps, the cams, and then I'm gonna install the head. Then I'm gonna torque it down and put everything back on. Okay, so I'm ready to install the head. I'm gonna be using the ARP head studs. So I'm gonna put 2 of them to guide the head, and then I have to take them off. Then I'm gonna put the washers, and then I'll put the studs again, and then I'll be ready to torque it down. Okay, so there's my head gasket and both of the studs. So now I'm gonna drop the head, and I'm gonna bolt it down. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm gonna completely bolt it down. I'm also gonna put the cams and the caps, and then I'll come back with you guys. Okay, so I finished installing the head, and I also installed the cam seals, so they're on. And I also installed the spark plugs. So now I'm gonna finish the front of the motor. I'm gonna install the water pump, the tensioner, the pulleys, and the timing belt, and then I'll go from there. Okay, so I just installed the water pump. Now I'm gonna install the tensioner for the timing belt. Okay, I already installed the tensioner and the rear timing cover, so I'm gonna go ahead and install the pulleys and the rest of the stuff. Okay, so I just installed the pulleys. One of them is painted, the other one's the adjustable one, and I went with a 2JC Gates Racing timing belt. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the valve covers now. Okay, so these are the valve covers. I got them polished. So I'm gonna get the gaskets, and I'm gonna install them right now. Okay, so I just installed the valve covers. That's how they look. Now I'm gonna install the timing cover. So this is the timing cover. It's painted candy red, and this is the coil cover. So I'm gonna use either this coil cover or this one right here. This is a clear cover, and then this is a Tomei coil cover. So I'm gonna install this first, and then I'm gonna switch the coil cover. I'm gonna put this one on and see which one looks better. I'm also gonna put a cover plate for the oil level, sensor, and I'm gonna be using these stainless steel Allen bolts. So let me go ahead and install these, and I'll show you guys how it looks. Okay, so this is how it looks with the original coil cover. So I'm gonna remove it right now, but first I wanna bolt on the turbo and the intake that I got for it, because I wanna see how it looks with this valve cover on. And then I'm gonna bolt on the clear cover and the coil cover from Tomei. Okay, so I'm gonna be using this manifold and this turbo. This is an eBay manifold. I mean, it was the best I was able to find. The other ones were super expensive, and I don't need a super expensive one right now. So I just got this one, and then this is a turbo from Drift Motion. So this is a 6262. I'm gonna be using a 6262 for now, and we'll see how it works, how it spools. But I'm gonna bolt it onto the motor, and then I just want to see how it looks. So let me go ahead and bolt it on. Okay, so I put the turbo on in the manifold. Now I'm gonna go grab the intake manifold. It's a eBay one from Deep Motor, so I'm gonna go grab it. I'll show you guys how it looks, and then I'm gonna bolt it on. Okay, so this is the intake I'm gonna be using. It's polished. I decided to get a polished one to go with the valve covers and the turbo, and also I think it's gonna make the candy red stand out a little bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up right now, and I'm gonna install it. I'm gonna remove the plastic bag, and I'm gonna go ahead and install it, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so this is how the intake looks. It's not completely bolted on. I just put 2 bolts to hold it together, same as the turbo. I just want to see how it looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the cover and see how the other one looks. Okay, so this is how it looks with the other coil cover and the clear timing cover. I like it, but I think the other one looks a lot better. I mean, it's nice. I really like it, but I mean, since I have candy on the front, I mean, it kind of looks better with candy on the top as well. But this one's pretty nice too. I really like it. Okay, so pretty much this is how you assemble a 1.5 JC. So it's pretty simple. Everything from a 2J on the bottom, and then from the top, even this cover right here, it has to be from a 1J. The intake, the manifold, everything else is from a 1J. I try to use this BBTI fit line. This is from the 1J and it didn't fit. It's too short. Obviously it's too short, so I had to get this one from a 2J. And another thing, the water pump, depending on what water pump you use, you gotta be careful, because sometimes the bolt pattern changes, the diameter will change on them. So there's a couple of different ones, and if you get the wrong one, it won't fit your pulley. So in my case, I'm gonna have to get a different one, because this is a GTE water pump and the bolt pattern is different, so I have to get a pulley for it. But that's pretty much it. And another thing I installed was this plate for the oil level sensor. I'm not gonna be using that, so I'm gonna use the dipstick. I'm gonna put the dipstick somewhere right here. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.